The Ancient Wisdom by Annie Besant. And this book has been on my bookcase for a long time. And looking at it now, I see it was reprinted in 1928, and it's dedicated with gratitude, reverence, and love to H.P. Blavatsky, who showed me the light. And this is Chapter 1, the physical plane. We have just seen that the source from which a universe proceeds is a manifested divine being to whom, in the modern form of the ancient wisdom, the name Logos, or word, has been given. The name is drawn from Greek philosophy, but perfectly expresses the ancient idea, the word, which emerges from the silence, the voice, the sound, by which the worlds come into being. We must now trace the evolution of spirit matter in order that we may understand something of the nature of the materials with which we have to deal with on the physical plane or physical world, for it is in the potentialities wrapped up, involved in the spirit matter of the physical world that lies the possibility of evolution. The whole process is an unfolding, self-moved from within and aided by intelligent beings without, who can retard or quicken evolution but cannot transcend the capabilities inherent in the materials. Some idea of these earliest stages of the world's becoming in quotes, is therefore necessary, although any attempt to go into minute details would carry us far beyond the limits of such an elementary treatise as the present. A very cursory sketch must suffice, coming forth from the depths of the one existence, from the one beyond all thought and all speech, a logos, by imposing on himself a limit, circumscribing voluntarily the range of his own being, becomes the manifested God and tracing the limiting sphere of his activity, thus outlines the area of his universe. Within that sphere, the universe is born, is evolved and dies. It lives, it moves, it has its being in him. Its matter is his emanation. Its forces and energies are currents of his life. He is immanent in every atom, all-pervading, all-sustaining, all-evolving. He is its source and its end, its cause and its object, its center and circumference. It is built on him as its pure foundation. It breathes in him as its encircling space. He is in everything, and everything in him. Thus have the sages of the ancient wisdom taught us of the beginning of the manifested worlds. From the same source, we learn of the self-unfolding of the Logos into the threefold form. The first Logos, the root of all being, from him the second, manifesting the two aspects of life and form, the primal duality, making the two poles of nature between which the web of the universe is to be woven, life form, spirit matter, positive, negative, active, receptive, father, mother of the worlds. Then the third Logos, the universal mind, that in which all archetypically exists, the source of beings, the fount of fashioning energies, the treasure house in which are stored all archetypal forms which are to be brought forth and elaborated in lower kinds of matter during the evolution of the universe. These are the fruits of past universes, brought over as seeds for the present. The phenomenal spirit and matter of any universe are infinite. No, let me go back and read that sentence again. The phenomenal spirit and matter of any universe are finite in their extent and transitory in their duration, but the roots of spirit and matter are eternal. The root of matter has been said by a profound writer to be visible in the Logos as a veil thrown over the one existence, the supreme Brahman, to use the ancient name. It is this veil in quotes, which the Logos assumes for the purpose of manifestation, using it for the self-imposed limit which makes activity possible. From this he elaborates the matter of his universe, being himself its informing, guiding, and controlling life. Of what occurs on the two higher planes of the universe, the seventh and the sixth, we can form but the haziest conception. The energy of the Logos as a whirling motion of inconceivable rapidity digs holes in space, that's in quotes, digs holes in space, in this root of matter. And this vortex of life encased in a film of the root of matter is the primary atom. These and their aggregations spread throughout the universe form all the subdivisions of spirit matter of the highest or seventh plane. The sixth plane is formed by some of the countless myriads of these primary atoms setting up a vortex in the coarsest aggregations of their own plane, and this primary atom, enwalled with the spiral strands of the coarsest combinations of the seventh plane, become the finest unit of spirit matter, or atom, of the sixth plane. These sixth plane atoms and their endless combinations form the subdivisions of the spirit matter of the sixth plane. The sixth plane atom, in its turn, sets up a vortex in the coarsest aggregation of its own plane, and these coarsest aggregations, as a limiting wall, becomes the finest unit of spirit matter, or atom, of the fifth plane. Again, these fifth plane atoms and their combinations form the subdivisions of the spirit matter of the fifth plane. The process is repeated to form successively the spirit matter of the fourth, the third, the second, and the first planes. These are the seven great regions of the universe, so far as their material constituents are concerned. A clearer idea of them will be gained by analogy when we come to master the modifications of the spirit matter of our own physical world. The word spirit matter, that is, spirit-matter, is used designedly. It implies the fact that there is no such thing as dead, in quotes, matter. All matter is living. The tiniest particles are alive. Science speaks truly in affirming no force without water, no matter without force. They are wedded together in an indissoluble marriage throughout the ages of the life of the universe, and none can wrench them apart. Matter is form, and there is no form which does not express a life. Spirit is life, and there is no life that is not limited by a form. Even the Logos, the Supreme God, has, during manifestation, the universe as his form, and so down to the atom. This involution of the life of the Logos as the ensouling force in every particle, and its successive enwrapping in the spirit-matter, the spirit matter of every plane, so that the materials of each plane have within them a hidden or latent condition, all the form and force possibilities of all the planes above them, as well as those of their own. These two facts make evolution certain, and give to the very lowest particle the hidden potentialities, which will render it fit, as they become active powers, to enter into the forms of the highest beings. In fact, evolution may be summed up in a phrase. It is latent potentialities becoming active powers. Oh, I'm going to read that sentence again because that's a great sentence. In fact, evolution may be summed up in a phrase. It is latent potentialities becoming active powers. The second great wave of evolution, the evolution of form, and the third great wave, the evolution of self-consciousness, will be dealt with later on. These three currents of evolution are distinguishable on our earth in connection with humanity. The making of the materials, the building of the house, and the growing of the tenant of the house, or, as said above, the evolution of spirit matter, the evolution of form, the evolution of self-consciousness. If a reader can grasp and retain this idea, he will find it a helpful clue to guide him through the labyrinth of facts. We can now turn to the detailed examination of the physical plane, that on which our world exists and to which our bodies belong. Examining the materials belonging to this plane, we are struck by their immense variety, the innumerable differences in constitution in the objects around us, minerals, vegetables, animals, all differing in their constituents. Matter, hard and soft, transparent and opaque, brittle and ductile, bitter and sweet, pleasant and nauseous, colored and colorless. Out of all this confusion, three subdivisions of matter emerge as a fundamental classification. Matter is solid, liquid, and gaseous. Further examination shows that these solids, liquids, and gases are made up by combinations of much simpler bodies called by chemists elements, and that these elements may exist in a solid, liquid, or gaseous condition without changing their respective natures. Thus, the chemical element oxygen is a constituent of wood, and in combination with other elements forms the solid wood fibers. It exists in the sap with another element yielding a liquid combination as water, and it exists also all by itself as gas. Under these three conditions, it is oxygen. Further, pure oxygen can be reduced from a gas to a liquid, from a liquid to a solid, remaining pure oxygen all the time. And so with other elements. We thus obtain the three subdivisions or conditions of matter on the physical plane: solid, liquid, gas. Searching further, we find a fourth condition, ether. And minuter research reveals that this ether exists in four conditions as well, defined as those of solid, liquid, gas. To take oxygen again as an example, it may be reduced from the gaseous condition to the liquid and the solid, so it may be raised from the gaseous through the four etheric stages, the last of which consists of the ultimate physical atom, the disintegration of the atom, taking the matter out of the physical plane altogether and into the next plane above. In the annex plate, three gases are shown in the gaseous and four etheric states. It will be observed that the structure of the ultimate physical atom is the same for all, and that the variety of the elements is due to the variety of the ways in which these ultimate physical forms combine. Thus, the seventh subdivision of physical spirit matter is composed of homogeneous atoms. The sixth is composed of fairly simple heterogeneous combinations of those, each combination behaving as a unit. The fifth is composed of a more complex combination, the fourth still more complex. But in all cases, these combinations act as units. The third subdivision consists of yet more complicated combinations regarding the chemist as gaseous atoms or elements. And on this subdivision, many of the combinations have received special names: oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, chlorine, etc. And each newly discovered combination now receives its name. The second subdivision consists of combinations in the liquid condition, whether regarded as elements such as bromine or as combinations such as water or alcohol. The first subdivision is composed of all solids, again, whether regarded as elements such as iodine, gold, lead, etc., or as compounds such as wood, chalk, stone, and so on. The physical plane may serve the student as a model from which, by analogy, he may gain an idea of the subdivisions of the spirit matter of other planes. When a theosophist speaks of a plane, he means a region throughout which spirit matter exists, all whose combinations are derived from a particular set of atoms. These atoms, in turn, are units possessing similar organizations, whose life is the form of the logos, veiled in fewer or more coverings according to the plane, and whose form consists of the solid or lowest subdivision of matter of the plane immediately above. A plane is thus a division in nature as well as a metaphysical idea. Thus far we have been studying the results of our own physical world, of the evolution of spirit matter in our division of the first or lowest plane of our system. For countless ages the fashioning of materials has been going on. The current of the evolution of spirit matter, and in the materials of our globe we see the outcome at the present time. But when we begin to study the inhabitants of the physical plane, we come to the evolution of form, the building of organisms out of these materials. When the evolutions of materials had reached a sufficiently advanced state, the second great life wave from the Logos gave the impulse to evolution of form, and he, capital H, became the organizing force of his universe. Countless hosts of entities entitled builders, taking part in the building up of forms out of the combinations of spirit matter, the life of the Logos abiding in each form is its central controlling and directing energy. This building of forms on the higher planes cannot here be conveniently studied in detail. It may suffice to say that all forms exist as ideas in the mind of the Logos, and that in the second life wave these were thrown outward as models to guide the builders. On the third and second planes, in the early spirit matter combinations, are designed to give it facilities in assuming shapes organized to act as units, and gradually to increase its stability when shaped into an organism. This process went on upon the third and second planes, in what are termed the three elemental kingdoms. The combinations of matter formed therein being called generally the elemental essence, and this essence being molded into forms by aggregation, the forms enduring for a time and then disintegrating. The outpoured life, or monad, evolved through these kingdoms and reached in due course the physical plane, where it began to draw together the ethers and hold them in filmy shapes, in which life currents played and into which the denser materials were builded, forming the first minerals. Excuse me. And these are beautifully shown, as may be seen by reference to any book on crystallurgy, the numerical and geometrical lines on which forms are constructed, and from them may be gathered plentiful evidence that life is working in all minerals, although much cabined, I guess, cabined, and confined. The fatigue to which metals are subject is another sign that they are living things, but it is here enough to say that the occult doctrine so regards them, knowing the already mentioned processes by which life has been evolved in them. Great stability of form having been gained in many of the minerals, the evolving monad elaborated greater plasticity of form in the vegetable kingdom, combining this with the stability of organization. These characteristics found a yet more balanced expression in the animal world, and reached their culmination of equilibrium in man, whose physical body is made up of constituents of most unstable equilibrium, thus giving great adaptability, and yet which is held together by a combining central force which resists general disintegration even under the most varied conditions. Man's physical condition has two main divisions: the dense body, made up of constituents from the three lower levels of the physical plane, solids, liquids, and gases, and the etheric double, violet-gray, or blue-gray in color, interpenetrating the dense body and composed of materials drawn from the four higher levels. The general function of the physical body is to receive contacts from the physical world and send report of them inwards, to serve as materials from which the conscious entity inhabiting the body is to elaborate knowledge. Its etheric portion has also the duty of acting as a medium through which the life currents poured out from the sun can be adapted to the uses of the denser particles. The sun is the great reservoir of the electrical, magnetic, and vital forces of our system, and it pours out abundantly these streams of life-giving energies. They are taken in by the etheric doubles of all minerals, vegetables, animals, and men, and are by them transmuted into various life energies needed by each entity. The etheric doubles draw in, specialize, and distribute them all over their physical counterparts. It has been observed that in vigorous health, much more of life energies are transmuted than the physical body requires for its own support, and that the surplus is rayed out and taken up and utilized by the weaker. What is technically called the health aura is the part of the etheric double that extends a few inches from the whole surface of the body and shows radiating lines, like the radii of a sphere, going outward in all direction. These lines droop when vitality is diminished below a certain point of health, and resume their radiating character with renewed vigor. It is this vital energy, specialized in the etheric double, which is poured out by the mesmerizer for the restoration of the weak and for the cure of disease, although he often mingles with its currents of a more rarefied kind. Hence, the depletion of vital energy shown by the exhaustion of the mesmerizer, who prolongs his work to excess. Man's body is fine or coarse in its texture according to its materials drawn from the physical plane for its composition. Each subdivision of matter yields finer or coarser materials. Compare the bodies of the butcher and that of a refined student. Both have solids in them, but solids of a much different quality. Further, we know that a coarse body can be refined, and a refined body can be coarsened. The body is constantly changing. Each particle is a life, and the lives come and go. They are drawn to a body constant with themselves. They are repelled from one discordant with themselves. All things live in rhythmical vibration. All seek the harmonious and are repelled by the dissonance. A pure body repels coarse particles because they vibrate at a rate discordant with its own. A coarse body attracts them because their vibrations accord with its own. Hence, if a body changes its rates of vibration, it gradually drives out of it the constituents that cannot fall into the new rhythm, and fills in their spaces by drawing in from the external nature fresh constituents that are harmonious. Nature provides materials vibrating in all possible ways, and each body exercises its own selective action. In the earlier building of human bodies, this selective action was due to the monad of form, but now that man is a self-conscious entity, he presides over his own building. By his thoughts, he strikes the keynote of his music and sets up the rhythms that are most powerful factors in the continual changes in his physical and other bodies. As his knowledge increases, he learns how to build his physical body with pure food, and so facilitates the tuning of it. He learns to live by the axiom of purification: pure food, a pure mind, and constant memory of God. As the highest creature living on the physical plane, he is the vicegerent Vicegerent. The vicegerent, I would say, I don't know, of the logos thereon, responsible to so far as his powers extend for the order, peace, and good government. And this duty he cannot discharge without these three requisites. The physical body, thus composed of elements drawn from the subdivisions of the physical plane, is fitted to receive and to answer impressions from it of every kind. Its first contacts will be of the simplest, crudest sorts, and as life within it thrills out in answer to the stimulus from without, throwing its molecules into the responsive vibrations, there is developed all over the body the sense of touch, the recognition of something coming into contact with it. As specialized sense organs are developed to receive special kinds of vibrations, the value of the body increases as a future vehicle for a conscious entity on the physical plane. The more impressions it can answer to, the more useful does it become, for only those to which it can answer can reach the consciousness. Even now there are myriads of vibrations pulsing around us in physical nature, from the knowledge of which we are shut out because of the inability of our physical vehicle to receive and to vibrate in accord with them. Unimagined beauties, exquisite sounds, delicate subtleties touch the walls of our prison house and pass on unheeded. Not yet is developed the perfect body that shall thrill to every pulse in nature as the Aeolian harp to the Nezer, to the Zephyr to the Zephyr, Zephyr. The vibrations of that body is able to transmit to physical centers belonging to its highly complicated nervous system. The etheric vibrations, which accompany all the vibrations of the denser physical constitutes, are similarly received by the etheric double and transmitted to its corresponding centers. Most of the vibrations in the dense matter are changed into chemical heat and other forms of physical energy. The etheric give rise to magnetic and electric action, and also pass on the vibrations to the astral body, whence, as we shall see later, they reach the mind. Thus, information about the external world reaches the conscious entity enthroned in the body, the Lord of the body, as he is sometimes called. As the channels of information develop and are exercised, the conscious entity grows by the materials supplied to his thought by them. But so little is man yet developed that even the etheric double is not yet sufficiently harmonized to convey regularly to man impressions received by it independently of its denser comrade, or to impress them on his brain. Occasionally it succeeds in doing so, and then we have the lowest form of clairvoyance, the seeing of the etheric doubles of physical objects and of things that have etheric bodies as their lowest vesture. Man dwells, as we shall see, in various vehicles, physical, astral, and mental, and it is important to know and remember that as we are evolving upward, the lowest of the vehicles, the dense physical, that is, which consciousness first controls and rationalizes. The physical brain is the instrument of the consciousness in waking life on the physical plane, and consciousness works in it. In the undeveloped man, the more effectively than in any other vehicle. Its potentialities are less than those of the subtle vehicles, but its actualities are greater, and the man knows himself as I, capital I in quotes, in the physical body, ere he finds himself elsewhere. Even if he is more highly developed than the average man, he can only show as much of himself down here as the physical organism permits, for consciousness can manifest on the physical plane only so much as the physical vehicle can carry. The dense and etheric bodies are not normally separated during earthly life. They normally function together as the lower and higher strings of a single instrument when a chord is struck, but they also carry on separate, though coordinated activities. Under conditions of weak health or nervous excitement, the etheric body may in greater part be abnormally extruded from its dense counterpart. The latter then becomes very dully conscious and entranced, according to the less or greater amount of the etheric matter extruded. Anesthetists drive out the greater part of the etheric double, so that the consciousness cannot affect or be affected by the dense body, its bridge of communication being broken. In the abnormality organized people called mediums, dislocation of the etheric and dense body easily occurs, and the etheric double, when extruded, largely supplies the physical basis for materializations. In sleep, when consciousness leaves the physical vehicle, which is used during waking life, the dense and etheric bodies remain together, but in the sense of physical dream life, they function to some extent independently. Impressions experienced during the waking life are reproduced by the automatic action of the body, and both the physical and etheric brains are filled with the disjointed fragmentary pictures and vibrations, as it were, jostling each other and causing the most grotesque combinations. Vibrations from the outside also affect both, and combinations often set up during waking life are easily called into activity by currents from the astral world of like nature with themselves. The purity or impurity of waking thoughts will largely govern the pictures arising in dreams, whether spontaneously set up or induced from without. At what is called death, the etheric double is drawn away from its dense counterpart by the escaping consciousness. The magnetic tie existing between them during earth life is snapped asunder, and for some hours the consciousness remains enveloped in this etheric garb. In this, it sometimes appears to those whom it is closely bound up with as cloudy figure, very dully conscious and speechless. The wraith, W-R-A-I-T-H. It may also be seen after the conscious entity has deserted it, floating above the grave where its dense counterpart is buried, slowly disintegrating as time goes on. When the time comes for rebirth, the etheric double is built in advance of the dense body, the latter exactly following it in its antenatal development. These bodies may be said to trace the limitations within which the conscious entity will have to live and work during his earth life, a subject that will be more fully explained in Chapter 9 on karma. And that concludes Chapter 1. Chapter 2 will be called The Astral Plane. Okay, so I have not read this book before, and just reading this first chapter just now explains so much. So, yes, that was excellent. I hope you liked it too, and I hope you'll come back, and I hope you'll subscribe and like, press the like button, and yes, see you soon.